developed this vaccine, made a lot of billionaires. But I can't go back to the empirical research where it actually saved people's lives.
Sure. This is the thing that I wish it would happen. It's so hard. Is that sometimes people will fuck up or say something dumb, but then instead of like critically evaluating what's going on, people will just like jump to the other opinion, and then they don't do as much critical evaluation there, right? Like, let's say I wanted to sell you like TRT, and I come up here and I tell you that creatine causes baldness, right? It's a common claim, right? I imagine you're probably going to look at me like, okay, well, yeah, you're selling this. Of course you want me to think this about, the most studied fucking supplement of all time, and you're going to tell me that it causes baldness or whatever. I don't know what you guys think about that. But I feel like, yeah, people will look at the vaccine and they'll go, okay, well, like, there are just so many things about me. People say, I don't trust the vaccine. It was pushed through too quickly, whatever. But monoclonal antibodies, people loved those. That was an experimental treatment. It never got fully approved. It was way more expensive. But because that was like the more popular treatment, people would shun the vaccines, which I think now in retrospect, I don't know how much I'm going to go over it, but like, they're pretty safe. Like, there wasn't the mass death event that everybody thought there was. Like in all the communities people got vaccinated, they were less likely to go to the hospital. Like, you see more deaths in like communities that weren't vaccinated. And you look at the monoclonal antibodies, most completely fell out. They weren't that effective. So
Do you think the vaccine was a good thing?
yeah, for sure. And I think the saddest thing too is that, especially, and I feel so fucking crazy because I'm always like the progressive, like far left guy. I am a big capitalist, and I appreciate like businesses and everything there. I feel like the sad thing for conservatives is I think the vaccine, in my opinion, like represented like conservatism like almost at its best. Because you had Donald Trump, who was a conservative leader, who like did the whole warp speed thing to try to like pre-buy and incentivize these companies. You had our large businesses that were working internationally with, like BioNTech in Germany, the manufacturing of the NLPs and I think in Denmark or whatever. Like, so it's capitalism. It's the United States like being a global power. It's the president like trying to incentivize something and push it through. It's like all this research from around the world creating like a vaccine in like record time. I feel like there's a lot of good accomplishments there that as Americans we could have been proud of, but it's
Trump,
like so.
Trump loves the vaccine.
Yeah, of course. Well, he wants to take credit for it because he warp speeded. Yeah, but I feel like we're so like politically divided. We can't like every single fucking issue that comes out today is fucking political. Like if you go to the gym, it's because you're fucking MAGA conservative. Like that's like a conservative thing now. Or like if a boat fucking crashes into a bridge, it's because some Mossad fucking agent did it to distract from fucking Israel. Or there's a fucking fire in Hawaii, in the fucking hottest place in the it's because like Jewish space lasers are trying to drive up property costs for Oprah Winfrey or whatever. But yeah, it's like Jesus. Yeah, like nothing can happen anymore without it being some crazy fucking conspiracy.
Yeah, personally, I've had like people close to me that was like damaged by that vaccine. Like, my friend's legs turned purple. They look like sweet potatoes. He can't walk. Yeah. And then I knew when I bought this car, right when the vaccine came out, the finance guy was doing my paperwork, and he was telling me, he's like warning me, like, don't take that vaccine. I was like, why? It's supposed to be great. He's like, well, my daughter took that vaccine. And the reason why she took the vaccine, she wanted to go to Europe for a vacation. COVID messed up everything, so she went in and had to take the vaccine so she could go. 2 weeks after she took the vaccine, she got a blood clot in her lungs, and she died.
Yeah. The big red flag for me
Just 22 years old.
Yeah, about that vaccine was it was forcing on people who had already contracted the virus, survived it, and he still was making people.
And they were forcing on people who were in great health. We all know, I think, what was it, 70, 80% of the people who died was people over 65, and they had something wrong with them. They already had one foot in the grave.
Well, careful, because when you say something wrong with them, like obesity is a comorbidity of, which is already like 70%.
That's what I'm saying. Like 70% of people, I think it was even higher, maybe 80%. 80% of the people died from, it might even been 90% that when they died from COVID, they was over 65, or they had one foot in the grave. They were obese, they had heart problems or something. But it was forced on healthy people, and I was like, one of my friends, that girl, that died at 22. That's why I think that vaccine was garbage.
Do you know anybody that died of COVID?
Yeah, my family members on my wife's side.
How many?
3.
Jesus. Well, so when you think of like, you've got vaccine injury, did you know anybody that died of or had a vaccine injury?
I know of 2 people. I didn't know in person.
Okay.
But Mike?
Yeah, I can't count him. You already counted.
Oh, okay.
But 2 other people.
Yeah, so that's interesting that doesn't factor into that. Like somebody's like, oh yeah, like I knew this guy or I knew a guy who had a vaccine injury. Like, oh, do you know anybody who died of COVID? You're like, yeah, I've got like 3 family members of it.
Yeah, I know 3 people died.
Yeah, but they were like, the 2 that I know in my family that died, they were big people. They were obese. They were not healthy people.
Sure. But I mean, like, they still died.
They got vaccinated and everything, they still died.
Yeah, and I look at like the vaccine injuries. My friend was very young. She was at the dealership. She was a healthy young woman. She was supposed to take the vaccination. Well, she couldn't. She couldn't problem. I have a problem with that person.
Yeah. Like I think it was a big cover up. Like, I remember when COVID first hit, they was cracking the deaths by the hour. I mean, up to date, all across America. You know how many people died in America. Why didn't they track the deaths of the people who's getting vaccinated, who still died with the vaccine? They didn't track that. I remember when Australia first started doing the vaccine with their citizens, they would come out saying, we had 8 people die today, 6 of them are vaccinated. They did that for a couple of days and then they stopped.
What do you think, if it was a cover-up, like what, how, why?
Money.
Like I'm trying to think, like
Money.
let's say
Money.
Yeah, but like, doesn't it hurt the economy and everything more to have like lockdowns and vaccines and everything than just?
I think there was a wrong decision. You can't hide from the virus.
Where I'm saying let's we're talking like all the. So here's something that's always interests me. People say things like Lockheed Martin or Boeing, like the military-industrial complex, they like run the country. Right? If you only look these companies up, these companies are worth anywhere from like $10 to $100 billion. Okay, decent-sized companies. But then I'm thinking like, well, if we're like running the economy, why would the military-industrial complex do things that puts the entire economy like on pause, that hurts everybody? So like wars or conflict or whatever. Why wouldn't it be the people that own like fucking Apple and Facebook? Because these companies are worth like, Apple alone is worth like every fucking private military contractor combined. Like, wouldn't they be the ones that control the economy? Wouldn't it be more like the U.S. is like, I want to go to war with that, and like Lockheed and Boeing and Raytheon, these guys are like, yeah, let's go. And then like Apple is like, we're not doing that. Actually, fuck you. Or I'll hire an actual Haitian death squad to kill you. If you
Right.
I think it's a different dynamic.
Okay.
I think the reason why that information is not allowed to come out, who's going to put that information out there?
Donald Trump?
It's going to be the media. The media is being paid hundreds of millions of dollars to push this vaccine.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
If they're going to come out and criticize the vaccine, they're hurting their advertisers. There's no way Fox News, CNN, left or right, going to come out and criticize that vaccine because you're biting their hand to feed you.
Yeah.
Even if I post stuff on Instagram or YouTube, I was getting censored. I was getting community guidelines strike on YouTube. You were not allowed to criticize that vaccine. That's why I think it's a cover-up.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I believe in capitalism too, but I don't consider that capitalism. I consider that crony capitalism.
Do you think, why wouldn't it be that like other countries would call us out? Like, why wouldn't Russia or China be like, we think that vaccine was a giant cover-up? Like, why wouldn't they say something? Wouldn't it be in their interest to kind of expose us on it?
I will, but we're not on the best of terms. Like, we can't even agree on that very same logic that you're using amongst ourselves here in the United States.
Sure. Well, I'm not
That's
saying,
how
I mean,
difficult it would be between us and Russia or other countries.
yeah, I don't mean on good terms. I mean, like,
Yeah.
as a way to attack us. Like, why wouldn't Putin be like, the United States is clearly corrupt, and we can see that because look at the vaccine that they gave their people?
I can only really speak to what our own media. Our media is here to keep the public apprised of what's going on. I did not see one story, whether it was left wing or right wing, criticize that vaccine. Nobody spoke out, and it's because that's their biggest advertising. They were advertising so much, enriching these networks so much, it created 9 billionaires on the back end on the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how much Fox News, CNN was getting paid.
Yeah.
And then, again, like I said, even if I spoke out,
Yeah.
censored. What's that doctor went on Joe Rogan? Censored.
Yeah.
He was
Robert
a doctor.
Malone?
Yeah, censored.
I mean,
You
look
were
at-
not allowed to criticize that vaccine.
Look at CNN and look at Fox. We know they have an agenda. They lie to us all the time. We know we probably get maybe an ounce of the truth. They spin everything to fit their narrative. They never like our politicians and our media. They don't even serve us anymore. They serve their own interests.
Do you think it's possible there's maybe people are trying to do their best, but they fuck up sometimes?
Yeah.
Or?
Definitely.
I think
But
that I guess the interesting thing for me is just like as a finance guy sometimes, like I just look at the numbers and I just don't feel like in the pharmaceutical world there's just not enough money to control all the media. It's just not. There's just like compared to like our like the tech world, there's so much more money. And then like when I look at all the vaccines that came out, the mRNA ones, and I'm thinking like, okay, well let's say these mRNA vaccines came out, there really is a big cover up. Like why wouldn't like Johnson & Johnson come out and say like, hey, fuck you? Because other companies try to create mRNA vaccines and they fail. Why wouldn't these other capitalist countries or companies in the U.S. be like, hey, those vaccines don't work, that's bullshit? Or like an enemy of the U.S. like Iran or Russia or China be like,
If
yeah,
that's true,
yeah.
if that's true, it just shows how corrupt America is. It shows how corrupt pharmaceuticals.
They're so corrupt that they're willing to lose money being non-competitive. In the
I
market.
think they lose
indicted-
money. I think they lose money if the truth comes out. That's why I don't think the truth comes out.
I mean, look how I watched this documentary. It's about how the pharmaceutical company got everybody addicted and doped up on
Fentanyl?
Yeah. I mean, these pharmaceutical companies, some of the worst evil amongst us. and nobody's willing to call them out.
I feel like people call them out. I just feel like I feel like what happens is that the problem's just a bit more complicated than it seems. Like even for like drug addictions on like fentanyl or stuff like that. Like if you go to the hospital, like a lot of drug addiction happens because you go to the hospital for a pain problem and then you come out of the hospital and now you end up getting addicted to whatever substance they gave you. But like looking at, I've got doctor friends or whatever, like listening to them talk, you get a patient that will come in and the patient will say, hey, I've got, hypertension. I look at my blood pressure, like, now, people will look at doctors and they'll go, you guys are just here to push pills. You're just going to try to give the guy a pill, send him on his way, like, fuck you, it's not healthy, blah, blah, blah. But from the doctor's perspective, like, I mean, you guys definitely know this better than the average person. You tell a person, oh, well, you need to eat healthy and exercise. What's the uptake on that? Less than 1%? You get a
just give me a pill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as a doctor, like you're there to treat whatever the illness is, and oftentimes as a doctor, your only weapon is medication. Now, if you've ever been to a doctor office before, they always tell you on the way out. They'll always say, oh yeah, make sure that you continue to eat healthy and exercise, but nobody actually fucking does it.
Right.
And then so now you're a physician, and now you're in this fucked spot where it's like, okay, well, this guy came in, he's hypertensive. I can't send him out of the office without prescribing something because now if he has a heart attack, he's going to come back and sue me for not doing anything. So then you give him a pill, and then this guy goes off, and then he gets fatter and fatter. His family complains, and then he dies. And now his kids are online saying, like, my dad had all these issues with obesity, and all the doctor did was give him a fucking pill, and then send him his way and wait until he fucking died. And that's bullshit. And I was like, well, what the fuck are you supposed to do as a doctor? Like, fuck me, you know?
Yeah. I get that.
I think there are bad actors. I'm sure there definitely are. Like, there have been drugs that have been okayed. I always fucking forget it. There was one that was okayed in Europe. It didn't get okayed in the US. Was it formaldehyde? Where, like, babies were being born, like, fucked up or whatever. So, like, bad shit happens. And a company, if you work for any corporate company, they will try to fuck you if they can do it.
Alex Jones called out the gay frogs.
Sure, he did, yeah.
Nobody believed him.
Those frogs were turning, they were fucking gay. Now, I don't know if it was gay, like bisexual gay, or gay, like gay. I don't know. But, yeah.
Hey, I'm going to switch gears. Yeah.
Sure.
It is finally here. Yep. Look at that beautiful package. Looks black man proof. Here it is right here. It's professional. Show it to him. You are a fucking idiot. I said it's enough. Oh man, that is tasty. Yeah? Yeah. Can I have some? Hold on. I feel like a new man. 90 plus ingredients. Good health. Brain health. It's got lion's mane. That's Wanda. Kind of got like a green tea. It's a great drink, man. If you try to live a healthy life, Optimal Human, man. Optimal Human. Yeah. Optimal Human. OptimalHuman.com/Hogs20. You get 50% off.
Okay.
Trans rights.
Okay.
What does that mean? Yeah. Trans rights. Yeah,
Trans rights. What trans rights means is that if you don't have people investing money into surgeries and everything, you're never, ever, ever going to see another Franken-dick again in your life. Because I bet that dick was the beneficiary of a whole bunch of research
Man,
into
I'm
bottom
still scarred
surgery.
by that. Yeah.
So is he, apparently, on two sides. The trans rights, that conversation is also super political.
Yeah.
On like a very basic, like on the very, 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 very fundamental, like scientific, biological, psychological side of it, it seems like there are some people that, for whatever reason, their brains seem to be sexed differently than their bodies, and in all the therapeutic, whatever the fuck, and trying to get people therapy and trying to get people medication. It seems there's no
I
way.
think there's some truth to that.
Yeah, and it
These
seems
people
like
are not doing this shit for nothing.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know now, but generally in the past,
You're doing it for shits and giggles, huh?
The 85% of trans people that are now like non-binaries at college, that's a separate thing.
Yeah.
But for like trans people, or actual trans people, it seems like there's an issue there, and it seems like of all the ways to treat them, you can either change the mind or change the body, and changing the mind has to seem to work. So then you help them change the body, basically.
Don't seem like any of this shit's working.
Well, I mean, like the changing the body works for like those types of treatments work, but the issue is that now because it's such a political issue, now there's like trans is more like an aesthetic than.
Yeah, and I don't think it needs to be political.
This is the thing. If you're 18 and over, I'm totally fine.
Yeah.
But I just disagree with letting little kids, as young as 5, 6, 7, they go through these surgeries. I don't agree that it should be taught to kids.
And I think that would be common sense.
Maybe.
Put it in an adult.
Yeah, I'd be really careful with that. So I think that there's a couple things. So one, kids aren't generally getting surgeries. That's pretty extreme.
They're taking drugs to prevent their...
Yeah, they might be doing like puberty blockers or whatever. But two...
But that's extreme too.
Yeah, it can be. The thing that I would say is that whatever the research is pointing at,
There's no research on this.
There's a lot of research. It's not long term yet, and it's still like it's very controversial.
I
right?
think
Like,
the
it's-
research at this point is tenuous.
yeah, it probably is for sure.
Yeah.
But like, if there's research on a particular thing, I think that that's a choice that should be left between the parents, the doctors, and the child.
But shouldn't the government protect kids from sick parents?
It should when reasonable, but like the problem is, and this is a hard one because in America, we have to tolerate people here that we really disagree with. Sometimes I think people in America think that like tolerating differences in opinion is like, well, I want Bernie Sanders, but this guy likes Biden, so I guess we get along. Or like, oh, like I want Donald Trump for 2 terms, or this guy wants Donald Trump for a 3rd term, and I think that's weird. And like that's like the diverse. But really, it might be as different as like, yeah, like I think that my kid at 14 years old should be on puberty blockers, and you don't think that should be even allowed. But I think in the U.S., like in my mind, I've got a 13-year-old son. I'm just trying to think of like, if my kid had a medical problem when he was 14 or 15, and there was treatment that might have been available, and I couldn't pursue it because, DeSantis or somebody had like outlawed it.
Yeah.
And if my kid ended up, either dying or killing himself when he was 16 or 17, I think I would lose my fucking mind on that. Right. Now, I understand that there are definitely parents that can be abusive of children, and that's disgusting too.
Yeah.
But like the idea that you would block off, like that's the same argument that people use for firearms. I like guns, okay? Fuck you. Just because John fucks around with his gun and kills himself or has his kid killed doesn't mean you can take my shit. But that's the argument that people use for trans surgery. It's like, well, some parents are sick. And I was like, okay, well, some parents like rape their kids. I'm not going to chop my dick off because you think I might, like, what the fuck? No, that's crazy, yeah.
I think that I've heard that before. That argument, from trans kids' sexuality, their gender, saves lives. But I think that's an extreme way to look at it because, mutilating or I wouldn't say mutilating, removing body parts and blocking their puberty. I think that doesn't save lives. It's altering your life. For you to go out and say that it's going to save their life is just speaking metaphorically, and it's a bit extreme.
Yeah,
Because nothing actually saves the kid's life.
Well, you're putting them in a position where they're less likely to do. I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right?
Really? But does it prevent them from doing it?
I mean, that's what the research would. You'd have to look into that.
There's countless videos of people that regret that went through that process to transition. I've seen plenty of stories where people have transitioned, got to surgeries, and they commit suicide. I've seen a guy transition, became a girl, whatever, looks just like a girl. Totally bang that if it was actually a girl. But she ended up killing herself.
Sure, but I mean, like, there's a lot of stories on the other side as well, like kids that weren't able to transition or kids that never felt right in their body and ended up killing themselves.
You know what I think the problem is? We try to rationalize. I don't think you should rationalize anything when it comes to a child. I think they should make that ultimate decision when they're 18. I could care less if a man wants to wear a dress. I believe in freedom. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the pursuit of happiness. But when you push that on the kid, when that kid more often than not been taught that or indoctrinated, because we came across this trans family, and the guy wants to be a woman, and the woman wants to be a man. They have a child, right? And the biological male who's living his life as a woman, is trying to breastfeed the child. Watch it.
I'm really thankful for Hanu for creating our family.
Oh, I put it over here.
The baby has been able to latch, but I've not been able to produce any milk. It's okay because we're gonna supplement the feeding with formula so that my baby is still getting the nutrients that they need, but I'm still feeling hopeful. I appreciate you so much for all your work. And I appreciate you also, baby. I'm gonna die without you.
Okay, you motherfuckers need to give me a warning. You start putting shit like this on the screen. Jesus fucking Christ. Not ready for that. Oh my God.
See, this is the thing.
But hold on, wait, to be clear, these are fucking weirdos. Okay? These are not like, because we can find fucking weirdos from every. My background is pro gaming. You better believe there's a lot of fucking weirdos in my background, right? Or like for religious people, you got people that let their kids die because they don't believe in like surgery or blood transfusions.
That's
or whatever,
crazy.
right?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't use that argument to say all religion should be banned from the U.S.
Right.
Like I agree there are fucking weirdos. I'm just saying that like in my right now we're talking about trans stuff, but before it might have been like medication, right? Like, does a child need to be on an amphetamine or a stimulant, or does a child need to be on an SSRI or whatever? And it's like maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I think you need when you're getting in between like a parent and a doctor about their kid. That's just in my world. That's like the scary. You better have a rock solid.
And personally, I think the doctors, everybody needs to be locked up. I mean, when you become a doctor, I mean, what you do should be based on science. There's not enough research.
Yeah.
I think this is just Frankenstein doctors trying to make a buck. The only reason why we get to that video we got right there is because the weirdos, they would do anything to affirm their fake reality. That's why they're pushing this on kids, to affirm these wackos.
I think a majority of the kids that wants to, go through these procedures because they've been indoctrinated, and those parents are trying to affirm their own lifestyle. Because you imagine when this kid grows up, what do you think is going to happen? You think that kid's going to be straight? More likely, it's going to be non-binary.
Possibly, maybe, yeah. And I mean, these people are definitely weird. But how many trans people came from ordinary, well-adjusted? How many gay people came from ordinary, well-adjusted families where their parents have?
Right.
Yeah.
Same
And it's
thing
like
for straight
think about it.
people.
It's
But
like the best thing for like gay acceptance too. Now, right?
Right.
Like your kid comes up to you and he's like, "I need to tell you something." You're like, "Oh fuck," and your kid's like,
Yeah.
"I'm gay." You're like, "Oh, thank God."
You're not non-binary, right?
Oh, he's just gay. Okay.
This clip I showed you, that was in a documentary on TLC.
Sure.
In a rational society, those people be locked up and their kid would be taken away.
Maybe.
Because
But
he's
like people
actually-
say that shit about some religious stuff too, right? You got to be careful for that, right?
Oh, but that's
No.
that is crazy.
That's why I say we politicize things. We shouldn't look at things politically. It's either right or it's wrong.
Yeah, but again, like we're loading that, like making it so obvious.
Yeah.
Like you talk about like cutting off genitals and stuff. Like we still like circumcise kids in the United States.
That's good. That's different from chopping it
Yeah,
off.
real weird though. Why are you chopping parts of kids' dicks off?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not circumcised, so I
Sure, but
totally
I'm
get
just
it.
saying that's fucking weird, right? We just
Yeah.
cut it because you want the little
Well-
boy's dick to look like the dad's dick, and that's really it, right? That's kind of fucking weird.
Yeah, I remember my mom.
Not as weird as chopping it off.
Might not be as weird, but it's still pretty fucking weird. And you can have complications that mean they have to chop it off, right? That was that one. There was a famous case study for a guy that they tried to make him a girl because at birth they had, I think, a complication with circumcision, so they ended up having to take the whole dick.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm just saying that sometimes we think like we should only do what's clearly right or clearly wrong, and it's like, I mean, we've got other weird shit in society, and I don't know.
You don't think you're playing Russian roulette with the child's life?
You might, but the argument is you're already playing Russian roulette with a child's life because these kids that do grow up trans and can't find any help or treatment, and then they end up offing themselves whatever.
I look at it like this. When we have enough information on it, like right now, I like proceed with caution. I don't think anybody should be doing this until they're 18. But the parents that's proceeding with this type of life-altering medication affirming their kids' lifestyle, I think when the data comes out, it's going to really hurt the gay community.
Maybe, but I mean, if the data comes out and it doesn't work, it's not helping. Then we stop it. We walk it back.
Yeah.
But I
But damn,
mean,
we
like-
sasacrifice a lot of kids.
I don't think there's that many. Like for surgeries and stuff, it's not. That's incredibly rare.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer sexuality is taught. Like the majority of us are straight because I had straight parents.
Yeah.
If I grew up and I had two gay parents, I would think the majority of society would be gay.
Yeah.
I think
it's taught.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
I think the majority of society is straight because they have.
I think
straight
it'll be
parents.
some outliers. Like you grew up a conservative family, right?
Yep, super Catholic.
Yeah, you're an outlier. You bisexual, gay. There's gonna be outliers. Gay people raising a child. There's gonna be some outliers. They're gonna be straight. But I think it will be a huge increase in the gay population.
Yeah, be the majority at that point.
Yeah,
If everybody was raised to be gay,
yeah.
because that's how you were raised to be straight, but you're like you said, you're an outlier. I think the majority of society would be gay.
I don't know if there's like that research yet that shows that like if a kid is raised a certain way, it like correlates more with being gay. I think they've been trying to find that a lot because it's really hard to figure out where it comes from, but I don't think we have a good understanding of like where it
Let me
comes
paint a picture for you.
Okay.
You grow up. You got two gay dads.
Yeah.
Say you're adopted. Say they're two black men, right? Two gay black men adopt you, right?
Make a white man.
Huh?
Make a white man.
No, I want to make the story crazy. Two black men, right? Both is hell, big as shit. Both of them 6'3", rippling muscle. And every morning you wake up, oh yeah, take it. Oh yeah, hey dad, I'm finna come. You hear that every morning. It's gonna normalize it in your brain.
Yeah.
So the first thing you do when you hear Pip, man, I want to get fucked like my dad.
Jesus.
Because you being taught that. You know?
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't think the studies are out there yet for it, but who knows?
Well, you say it's not enough studies out there for trans kids.
Like
yet.
me having like a father and a mom, and just my dad kissed my mom, that embeds stuff into my brain.
Yeah.
It teaches me certain things, I think.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have that and I had two gay dads and I seen them kissing
Yeah.
and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, you know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying. You can keep saying the same story. I don't know if there's actually like I don't know if there's anything to support that other than it sounds.
So you don't think people can be groomed?
What do you mean by groomed?
Like a pedophile, when they do something to a kid, a lot of times that kid grow up and do that same thing to other kids when they grow up. They become pedophiles.
I think it's possible, but like the majority of people that abuse kids aren't even pedophiles. Like 10%, I think.
I'm just talking about pedophilia.
It's possible. I don't know.
It's possible.
I think that sexuality is really complicated, and I don't think we have any good answers for like.
There's a
where
psychological side
gayness
to
and
it. There's an
yeah,
environmental side to it.
Yeah, biological. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to know. Like, I just don't think there's any strong
Think
research
about-
that points to one side or another.
Yeah, the thing about trans kids, to hop back on that, and it's like, man, we don't let kids smoke, we don't let them vote, drive a car, and for them to have an ability to even have an influence over their parents to have such a life-altering, because you can't go back after that.
Well, I mean, if you do puberty blockers, you can, right?
They say you can reverse it, but
Before
Michael
doing
Jackson
that.
went through something like that. That's why he has a high pitched voice.
a lot of
A lot
opera
of opera
singers.
singers do it too. They have it's for the men. I forget what they call it.
So their voice is
How like pitch like a woman. You don't
There's
get
some things you don't go back, like females who jump on testosterone, they start growing beards and their voice get real deep. Once you get up at testosterone,
Yeah.
can't change.
bodybuilding women. That voice can't.
Yeah, it's going to stay raspy. Some of these things
Yeah.
that
I mean,
can't-
if you do hormones, depending on the female to male one, there are things that change. Because when you have testosterone and the cartilage thickens in your whatever the cause of the atoms have to come out, when you get rid of the testosterone, that doesn't go away, so your voice is always.
So, do you think trans women should be able to breastfeed their kids?
Oh, does actual just fucking milk come out?
They call it. Well, it's
they call it milk, but we all know it's sweat, pus, and salt.
Listen, whatever they say it is in the fucking beaker. Okay, when Walter White tested it,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck it says, they want to do it.
You
I
think
think it's
like,
fucking
if-
weird, but
If she takes those drugs and start producing that milk or whatever they want to call it, do you think they should breastfeed their kid with that?
listen, I don't know.
Take a
I don't, have a
stance,
strong,
man.
I, don't have a strong, I don't know. Those two guys were weird for a whole bunch of reasons. That
Yeah.
had nothing to do with being fucking
Yeah.
trans. Those are just weird fucking people.
No,
okay? I
those
don't
are
like this.
straight. Those are straight up trans. yeah. That is the trans community right there in a nutshell.
Look, this is my position. I'm all about people living a life how they want to live.
It's got to be based in reality.
But it's got to be based in reality.
Well, but, I mean, you say that, but then
Yeah.
like every fucking atheist is going to say, well, what about all the religious people that do all the weird shit with their kids?
Man, let's stick to the trans.
I'm just saying, you're saying based in reality,
Yeah.
and you got like atheists versus religious people. That's like one of the fundamental disagreements between fucking
Yeah, but we talking about trans kids.
So, do you think they should be allowed to breastfeed?
I think that we should follow the science. If the science says one thing and people want to do it, I mean, it's their choice. It's their families. They can do it. If there's not strong supporting evidence, then it should be experimental, so only okayed in like extreme circumstances. And if the evidence is pointing strongly against it, then you don't let them do it because it'd be harmful to the children. I think it's
What if you don't have the evidence?
if you like I said, well, if you've got like exploratory stuff, then it's experimental, and you like green light it for extreme cases. Like if you've got like a parent, or if you've got somebody dying of like some cancer, and they're like, listen, we can do chemo, we can do radiology or whatever. You got like 2 months, but there's this other thing. We could try it. No guarantee. There's like clinical trials or whatever. You like try it that way, and the trials you see how they work. But yeah, I mean that's all you do. Yeah.
I think it's banish.
Yeah, I think those parents,
You need to banish.
they go to
bro.
jail for a
'Cause
very
look-
long time. They take the kid, right? Take the kid. Have someone die and put them in a foster care. Those two people that we just saw, they shouldn't be nowhere near kids. Because let me explain to you. This is it's probably gonna make you uncomfortable. Well, it probably won't because you're gay. But for me,
Yeah.
my nipple is an erogenous zone, right?
Okay.
Like
Just
when-
you're one of them.
Both of them,
Okay.
right? When my wife touches it, I get a hard erection.
Me too.
Right?
My nuts
Hard
get,
erection.
My
I
nuts
mean-
get tight. My nuts like two tennis balls sitting together.
Yeah.
That's an erogenous zone.
Yeah, so
You don't think women don't feel the same way?
yeah, women feel the same thing.
Yeah,
I just
but-
want to. This is just
But see,
anecdotal.
women-
Hey,
women-
shut up! This is just anecdotal, but that's an erogenous zone for a lot of people, men and women. And this dude's getting sucked off. Well, he's trying to.
Yeah, but I mean, aren't
breastfeed
women getting
his
sucked
kid.
off when they're breastfeeding
Yeah,
their kids?
but it serves a purpose. It's got milk in it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's
a
why
man-
women can do it.
Her nipple serves no purpose.
Yeah, that's weird. I agree. If there's
And
no
my-
milk coming out, that's pretty fucking weird. I agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife told me like when she was breastfeeding, she said it hurts. The kid latches on, it's like a little fucking rabbit just about to bite your fucking nipple off. So it's nothing. That dude's getting sucked. That's a dude. There's no nipple. It's just sick. This shit needs to be banned.
This is my mental test. This is what I do when I think about shit like this. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're in power and you're saying, I want to prevent kids from XYZ, the government needs to have the power to make this illegal. What I try to think of is, okay, let's say that the guys that I don't like are in office and they have the same power. What would they take from me? And if I feel like I stand to lose more than I'd gain otherwise by having that power, then I say, well, fuck that. So the only thing that scares me about saying like, oh, well, if I'm this trans shit, we're gonna ban this and blah 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 blah. If I were religious, I'd be worried about all the parents that are like, well, I think taking, you talked about indoctrination earlier. I think confirmation is indoctrination. I think that taking kids to church and making them, listen to people speaking in tongues, that's indoctrination. I think that Mormonism and all this crazy shit, I think that's indoctrination. That should be illegal. And if you guys want to ban the queer books or whatever the fuck from school, well, we should ban Bibles and shit as well. So it's like, fuck it. I don't think. Yeah, it's just hard. This is why I say for the trans shit, there's nothing unique about the trans stuff. Yeah. You just look at it scientifically, compare it to, and it shouldn't be. You look at the science and you just follow the research. Right now, it looks like that's it.
They're using Frankenstein science, like society as a whole.
Yeah.
Stand to lose absolutely nothing from trans women breastfeeding. We have nothing to gain. Nothing to gain.
Sure, and I mean that might be a thing that's too far, right? Yeah, that might be. Yeah, that's fine. But like to lose all of it.
Too far right.
Yeah. But I just think it's weird, like for the trans stuff, it's like such a minority problem. Mm-hmm. But like, how many percentages of American men get their dicks cleaned up when they were fucking newborns? That's fucking weird. But that's like a totally normal thing, and that's impacting what half of American men or whatever, how are like fucking dick cut.
Circumcision.
Yeah,
I'm all for circumcision.
You can't possibly be for that's wild because that's absolutely no medical anything. That's just
circumcision. They says because I'm not circumcised. Yeah, and if you don't roll it back, you're gonna get a bunch of dick cheese under there. So that's why they cut all the skin off so you won't have all that dick cheese.
Yeah, and if I chop your fucking feet off at the ankles, you probably won't have smelly shoes.
Man,
I mean, learn to fucking clean yourself. What the fuck? You gonna take a fucking shower?
No, who's talking about? I'm talking about dicks.
I know, but I'm saying you fucking clean your dick.
Have a bunch of skin on
if you chop anything off the fucking body, it's not gonna get dirty. How many people don't clean behind their ears? We're not lobbing people's fucking ears off so they get fucking clean hole. No, it's not.
It is.
You're chopping parts of dicks off. How are you sitting here defending dick chopping? That's wild to me.
You're not chopping the dick off.
They're chopping off part of the dick.
Well, they're just trying to keep the dick cheese from growing, man. Because I get dick cheese if I don't roll back.
If somebody gave you a fucking hoodie with the hood fucking removed, it wouldn't be okay. Dicks come with foreskins for a reason, okay?
All right.
Anyway.
I totally agree.
Thank you.
I'm glad I still got my foreskin. So you should totally get little kids chopping their dicks off, right?
Only the top part.
Okay.
Bottom surgery for under 18 is, I don't think that happens to you guys. No, I don't think I'd ever be okay. That's a really, really extreme. Yeah, I don't think bottom surgery for under 18, but I don't think anybody really supports that. That's like the most extreme people.
So you're like with the dick skin, the circumcision. So you.
Hey, shut up. Hey, what? Like, since we're on the transgender thing, what is a woman to you?
What? Fuck, that's a really complicated question.
Man, come on, man.
That's an insanely fucking complicated question.
Yeah?
Without diving too deep in all this dumbass shit, okay? Listen, okay? Jesus Christ, okay?
Take it easy.
If I tell you a thing, okay? In philosophy, there's a thing called a qualia, okay? So, like, what is it like to experience something, okay? Behind you is a red curtain. If you've never seen the color red before, and I say, there's a red curtain, I can never actually express what that qualia is. You're not going to know unless you experience it yourself, right?
Yeah.
So there are things that we experience, and when we have two brains, okay, I can never send you an idea. I can't do it. It's impossible because our brains are separate. So what I do is I speak a word. When I say something, I hope you have an experience that maps onto it. So when I say like, oh, this blanket is really soft, you might think soft like, oh, like a dog or a kitty cat or a pillow. You've got other experiences that map onto it, right? For all of the language that we use, when we say words, there's a whole bunch of associated concepts that like pop up when we say those words. Now, they might not map cleanly onto some universal, Platonistic form of a thing. So for instance, when I say table and I tell you to define a table, you can never give me a definition that encompasses all tables and excludes all things that aren't tables, right? Do they always have four legs? One, is it something you can sit on or not? Like, it's really complicated. So when you say like, well, what is like a woman? Well, when you say woman, depending on the context, it lights up a whole bunch of concepts. So woman, they tend to dress a certain way. They tend to have certain hair. They tend to exhibit certain like characteristics. They tend to have certain body parts. They tend to have certain, right? So a woman, it really kind of depends on the circumstance, right? Like if I'm in let's say that I'm in school, right? And I'm like a grade schooler and somebody says, oh, a woman just walked by. Well, in that case, you're probably speaking more to age than like genitals, right? Because, oh, a woman, oh, shit, like Mrs. Whoever.
I think when a woman, when somebody say that, I think of tits in her vagina.
Sure, maybe, but like you might meet somebody.
No, not maybe. A woman walks by and someone say, "Oh, she's got tits and a vagina."
But not you're associating behaviors way more. When you see somebody in a store and you identify them as a man or a woman, you're never seeing their gender. No fucking. You don't know if they're
Like,
a
I
dick
could
or a
totally
pussy.
look at you and I could tell you're a guy.
Yeah,
I might be so. I might have the tightest binding in the fucking world on right now, hiding the 33, 32 double D's. It's like fucking.
99%
Dude, you're
of
totally
my-
a man.
Sure, but like you're making that evaluation based on probably my voice, probably my fucking beard, but maybe shape of my body. You're not actually seeing my genitals. Or
I can tell. I can tell you got a cock.
Yeah.
That's
Because I have to wrap it around my leg twice to get the fucking
Yeah, you can tell. Like, female and male is not complicated, but people overcomplicate it to fit their narrative.
You said, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but like even when you say like people overcomplicate it, like gender and like how we express it is like it is a pretty complicated phenomenon.
But
right?
it's so complicated that you can't even define it. That's the problem.
Well, because we typically don't. We just kind of like, when we use words, we don't have like strict definitions of like what a word is. And we even playfully joke with this, like, is a hot dog a sandwich, right? How crazy is it that sandwiches are things that everybody's familiar with? You can't actually get like a strict definition of what a sandwich is. Or does cereal count as a soup? Well, yes or no. Or fucking, if you're in fucking Texas, does chili have beans in it, right? People will fucking fight you to the death on this shit.
A
Or
hot
meat or
dog
whatever,
is
right?
not a sandwich.
Okay.
Fucking hot dog. Look here.
Yeah,
Hamburger is not a sandwich. It's a hamburger. A sandwich is just 2 slices of
Wait,
bread.
a hamburger?
I
Wait,
put
a
some ham on
hamburger?
that bitch. I put
Hamburger's
some-
not a sandwich?
No, it's a hamburger. A sandwich. This is a sandwich. I'm gonna define what a sandwich is.
Okay.
All right. Hot dog, bun, weenie, hot dog, hamburger, patty,
Thank you.
bun.
What about a chicken
hamburger.
sandwich? Chicken sandwich.
It's a chicken sandwich. Yeah, bun. Well, it's different. Now, a sandwich. Typically, when I think of a sandwich,
Yeah.
when I typically think of a sandwich, I think of 2 slices of bread, whatever meat,
Ham, cheese, lettuce,
ham, cheese,
tomato.
all the works.
But they're all fucking sandwiches, Kevin. It's bread and a meat.
What about a patty melt, like sourdough toast? Is that a sandwich or is that a?
Is it wrapped in
Hey, look,
lettuce
you,
or bun?
hey, you see what the fuck he did? He changed the subject.
I'm just saying words
Look
are
here, no, you
complicated.
changed
Like
the
when
fucking
people
subject. What you did.
people say like, oh, what is a woman? And it's like, give me a definition of it. But like, what is a table? What is a chair? Like any word to define. You're
Yeah.
talking
This is
about
my
yeah,
definition of a
particular
woman.
versus universal. Yeah, go for it.
This is
Give me
my
a-
definition
okay,
of woman.
go for it.
A human being with female reproductive parts.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what a woman is.
If you want to say that, that's fine. But our use case for it is, we don't usually identify people that way. We usually identify people by the way they dress and the way they appear outwardly.
We've always identified women that way.
No, we identify people
Based on
99%
their
of the
sex.
time. No, based on how they look.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
sex.
But who chooses how to look that way? Men dress a certain way because that's how men tend to dress that way. Women like the things that women like to do. That's why women like to wear makeup. They like to wear dresses. Men don't really like to wear that type.
I mean, but it depends. I mean, you look at
Like
like
the genders choose how they want to represent themselves.
they do, but we also feed back into each other. We give, like if you look at how you know take guys out of the fucking 60s and shit that were
Yeah.
pop stars and shit, you throw them in
70s,
today.
80s.
Yeah, you got some. Yeah, you got some crazy shit. Or
Yeah.
even in the 90s and 2000s, you know, rappers wearing fucking earrings and shit.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
in white communities, people are like, my kids are gonna wear a fucking earring or jewelry
Yeah,
or
but they
whatever,
still
or like
knew what they-
metrosexuals, like
Yeah.
But
But the
they
problem
still-
is
but
they
they-
still knew there was men and they still knew there was women.
Yeah, Michael Jackson, if he was born today, he'd probably be trans. Prince, he'd probably
Sure.
be trans.
Yeah.
They all, like, that one group.
Motley Crue.
All those rock bands, they were like long hair, very feminine. Got all the bitches though. They still knew that they were men.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
It's
just,
so
what I'm
complicated
saying,
that you
it's,
can't-
it's
yeah.
well, it's not complicated. It's intuitive. But just because something is intuitive doesn't mean that there's not like a really sophisticated thing happening underneath, right? Like for instance, like you guys. Oh man, I used to watch your shit so long ago. I was gonna say you guys
What,
do
the
like
fitness
deadlifts, yeah, but you don't because you call them back snaps. You don't do
I
deadlifts.
break my damn
You,
back.
you do squats or whatever.
Fuck no.
I got
leg
it.
press.
Okay, none of the gay exercise. Okay, well, fuck all that shit. Walking, okay, is an incredibly complicated action. There's a ton of different things going on. You've got inner ear keeping balance. You've got eyes that are looking to make sure you're not like veering off course. You've got like tons of muscle systems, right? But like you don't think about it. It's intuitive. You can walk and talk at the same time, even though both those things. Like look at the Boston Dynamics robots. Like look at how many fucking millions of man hours of programming just to get a machine to fucking walk, right? It's complicated, but it's intuitive, so you don't think much about it. I feel like the best evidence of like when you're thinking about like men and women or whatever is it's really funny. Regardless of how you feel, if you look at like Ben Shapiro or if you look at Steven Crowder, sometimes these people will bring up trans people, and because they want to call them by their what they think they're correct, pronouns, it's like that's a man or whatever. When they're talking about the person though, they accidentally keep slipping into like, oh yeah, Dylan Mulvaney, was that a popular trans? I don't follow this shit.
Yeah.
That was a trans woman or whatever, right? Yeah. Whenever they refer to Dylan, he's like, oh yeah, she's doing this. I mean he. Yeah. I don't like Dylan because she said this. I mean he said this, right? I was like, okay, well, what's happening there? Is he confusing the sexual organs of the person, or are we just like mapping other things onto what we're
Well, he's confused, and Dylan's confused.
I think it's just a confusing situation for everybody. They're
Yeah.
confused and it confuses everybody else.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say, by the way, also that like men and women don't map onto very real different like sexual characteristics. They clearly do, right? There are different reproductive systems, different reproductive gametes that like are almost always mapped onto male to male and female to female. Like that's almost always true. I'm just saying that in society, in common parlance, when we talk about like a man or a woman, there's a lot of stuff with language is super complicated that we don't realize is happening when we say things.
I
That's
just
all.
think women have tits and vaginas. Dudes have nuts and balls and cocks.
Yeah, and most of the time that'll be true, but
But even if let's say I want to be a woman, I could dress like a woman. I get all sick. I could be the baddest bitch on the block, standing on the corner making all kinds of money. It still doesn't change the fact that I'm actually a guy.
Yeah.
what I guess the question is, so language exists because there's some utility, right? Like the reason why we say words is because we get something out of it. I'm invoking some idea. I'm getting some kind of response from you. Like that's why we have words, right? So the question, I guess, is like, what does it mean to be a man or woman in like a given circumstance? Because that's going to determine like these. Like if you go to the hospital, regardless of what the fuck, how you identify or whatever, like your actual biological sex is probably going to be really important depending on what you're looking at, right? You're not going to go to the hospital for a pap smear if you're a guy.
Yeah, you will if you're trans woman.
But if you are, that's what I'm saying, right? You're gonna like the biological sex will be really important there. But like if you're, let's say that you're standing on the street corner, okay, and let's say that you lose all your muscle and you're the most lithe, nubile, beautiful, young-looking fucking woman
bad
ever.
bitch.
Sure. And let's say somebody sends a drive-by down the street and it's like, I want you to shoot every fucking woman you see. And a guy drives by and he sees you in your beautiful, ornate, flowery, sundress, and the guy unloads on you, and you're like, whoa, no, I'm not a woman, I'm a man. Well, in that case, it didn't really matter. He identified you as a woman. He clocked you as that.
Yeah, I tricked him.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you could
I
say
deceived him.
maybe. Yeah. But
My position is this: transgender LGBTQ has confused and has overwhelmed people with sexual identity or gender identity that nobody can give or present a honest definition of what a woman. And because of that, now you got men going inside female restrooms. You got men competing against females. You got men trying to breastfeed kids. If you don't have a definition for what a woman is, then the women, these transgender women, will affirm their gender by minimizing women. Because the only way a transgender woman can affirm and be an actual woman is to minimize another woman.
yeah, maybe they shouldn't be competing in sports because that would
Yeah.
be bad for a variety of reasons. But like, I just want to say that like this thing relating to trans, like gender, sex, or whatever, like none of this is unique. Like we've fought over gender identity and gender expression probably for thousands of years. Over like, what does a man look like? What does a man do? What does a woman look like? What does a woman do? Like these are things that like, and we should continue to push on and champion the things that we believe are true. I feel like one big problem today that really sucks is kids today are getting way too much attention. So whereas, in my, even when I was growing up, like you might believe or do some dumb shit in high school and college, but like you'll grow out of it, everybody knows you will. But now with social media, now if you've got a dumb idea or whatever, you might be a worldwide famous Twitter star or TikTok star at 18 or 19, and now moving on from those ideas feels a lot different. You're getting way more validation, and it's going to make it harder to kind of like grow up and shed maybe some of the stuff that isn't as true, which is I think a huge problem. Because like people are and I know this is true for both of you, whether you admit it or not. We all believe we did fucking unbelievably retarded shit when we were kids. You're never more sure of what everything is in the world than when you're an 18, 19-year-old man ever. That's when you are the highest point of confidence. And I believe in so much dumb shit. But that's fine. You should. You should believe in crazy, stupid things when you're a kid. Because you do it through college or whatever. That's always been historically the case. But now with the social media and all the attention, now it just makes it really hard for people to see that as a phase because they're getting a lot of validation externally that they probably shouldn't be. No offense, but like if you're 19 years old, I don't give a fuck what you think about unemployment or the minimum wage, because you've never even worked a job before. Why the fuck would I care? Yeah. You should still have the opinions though, like be crazy, but yeah.
Before we switch gears,
You think that about 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds really shouldn't listen to kids about chopping the dicks. That's all I'm saying. Hey, but I asked you, what is trans rights? Shut up.
Wait, man, hold up, man. I want to say something.
What the question about trans rights?
Now, I just want to say this. Like, I'm not against like trans people at all.
Yeah.
I just think you still need to keep your life in reality. You're still, if you live your life as a woman, you're a man. but you're living your life as a woman, which is fine. But when you try to affirm yourself by coming up with these pronouns and you go in women's restrooms and you competing against women and you having a kid sucking your nipple, you're not in reality at that point. I think it just hurts society.
Sure.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, but like I'm pretty sure like 99% of trans people would agree with that. Like most trans people don't want to go into the wrong bathroom and have somebody like attack them. But like most don't want that smoke, you know. And then people that are trying to, you know, argue the opposite of like, well, I don't want this person in my bathroom. It's like bullshit. If you're a dad, you go into the bathroom with your son, you don't want fucking Blair White walking in. You know, being like, oh, well, this is the bathroom that conservatives have to go into, so now I'm going to take a piss next to your son, and now you have to have this
I'm totally all for that.
Okay.
I'm totally all for that.
Okay, fine.
Me
Do the
and
other.
Blair
You don't
White
want your wife.
kissing
You don't want your wife. You don't want your wife going.
Say something.
Well, the question about trans rights.
Now, I just want to say this. Like, I'm not against like trans people at all.
Yeah.
I just think you still need to keep your life in reality. You're still, if you live your life as a woman, you're a man, but you're living your life as a woman, which is fine. But when you try to affirm yourself by coming up with these pronouns and you go in women's restrooms and you competing against women and you having a kid sucking your nipple, you're not in reality at that point. I think it just hurts society.
Sure.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, but like I'm pretty sure like 99% of trans people would agree with that. Like most trans people don't want to go into the wrong bathroom and have somebody like attack them. But like most don't want that smoke, you know. And then people that are trying to, you know, argue the opposite of like, well, I don't want this person in my bathroom. It's like bullshit. If you're a dad and you go into the bathroom with your son, you don't want fucking Blair White walking in. You know, being like, oh, well, this is the bathroom that conservatives have to go into, so now I'm going to take a piss next to your son, and now you have to have this.
I'm totally all for that.
Okay.
I'm totally all for that.
Okay, fine.
Me
Do the
and
other.
Blair
You don't
White
want your wife.
kissing together.
You don't want your wife. You don't want your wife going into the bathroom with her 6-year-old daughter and Buck Angel, yeah, walks in, you know, and now you've
Who's
got
that bitch?
That's a trans man, right? The really famous trans
I never
guy.
heard of her.
You'd
I mean him.
You'd like him. You would. You really would.
He looks
But,
good, huh?
No, he has all your opinions now. Yeah, thinks all the trans stuff has gone way too far. And
Oh, okay.
generally, yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but no, like I agree with you. Like most of that shit is fucking crazy. Like a lot of shit is crazy. But like I try not to define myself in opposition to the people that I think are fucking insane. Like I think a lot of like the DEI stuff is like kind of wacky sometimes, and a lot of the everything is white supremacy and all that shit is kind of wacky. But I'm not about to say like, oh yeah, you know, like I think all of the racial inequities in society have been completely addressed, and now it's just like, yeah, some people just suck. Yeah, I try not to get pushed too far the other
Hey,
way.
you being raised by conservative parents, how do you did you push back on that early, or did they push you? You consider yourself now to be a liberal?
Yeah, pretty hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the difference between a liberal and a progressive? You're more progressive.
Depends on how you define them. What is a progressive?
Progressive means
Progressive is chopping dicks off. Little kid. That's a progressive.
progressive believes in late-term abortions.
Yeah, there's I think a liberal is somebody that is like imagine like a
Sane?
imagine. Do you remember SJWs from like 10 years ago? That's what we call woke people now. We call them social justice
Yeah,
warriors.
yeah.
I think like liberals are like SJWs from like 10 years ago. So they're like, we need to have like gay marriage and every woman should have like the right to an
You're
abortion.
right. You're
That's like
absolutely
the
right.
liberal, yeah.
Yeah.
Now progressives are like, they're in another island doing some shit.
they still left their own that. You didn't see it.
They kind of live in their own world,
Yeah. So you say you're liberal.
You ever see that, you know who Ryan Long is?
Right.
You ever see that fucking video where it's like the Nazi and the woke guy agree on everything?
A Nazi?
It'll be like, yeah, like a liberal would say something like, hey, we need to, like, we should loan more money to minority businesses to, like, help them catch up.
Right.
And then, like, the progressive would be like, actually, I think that minority businesses should be racially segregated because white people shouldn't be allowed to go into black-owned businesses, right? It'll be like, that would be like the progressive versus the liberal, right?
Right.
And then the Nazi guy would be like, I actually agree we should racially segregate everything, right? Or like, yeah, that's the difference, yeah. But I think that progressives are just like liberals on steroids are like way more extreme, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely.
I would do anything if the Democrat Party was, they bring back the old Bill Clinton.
But, well, the thing is, the weird thing is, I think that most of the Democratic Party still like that. The problem is that when you go online, especially too, like everybody that you see are like the crazy fucking college kids and then the crazy fucking activists. But then if you like look in Congress, like none of these people really like. Look at the Justice Dems, the four like AOC, Rashid, Rashid Tlaib, right, and then Ilhan Omar and fuck, I forget the fucking names. But AOC is like the big one that everybody talks about, right? Like
AOC.
all the progressives don't like AOC anymore. It's like she's sold out. She's a fucking liberal. Fuck her. Like they don't even like her anymore. And that was their like champion. So I feel like even though these people are really loud online and really big in college campuses, which might be problems down the road, they're not like represented that much in Congress.
Time to give up our new giveaway. It's a Dodge Ram power truck, and we about to do something we ain't never did before. It's a camper. Not only you get a brand new truck, you get a camper with it too, and 10,000 in cash.
Hey, Keith.
Yeah.
We've given away over $2 million in trucks and cash and prizes.
We give them back to the people who support us. Instead of giving money to Facebook to advertise this stuff, they censor us anyway. So I say, you know what? Incentivize our own people to already support us. It's a win-win for everybody. Go to officialhawktwins.com. Anything you buy from the site gets you automatically into the win.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. See official rules for details.
Yeah. Right. Hey, so I'm gonna switch gears. What do you think about what's going on in Israel? That's a big change.
That's a huge
lot.
segue.
Yeah.
What yeah, well, right now I think there's a war going on.
Yeah. What do you, what's your perspective?
Located the tomb of the former
Because I see the left. They said they call it a genocide. They call it
Sure.
and conservatives. They
call them Palestinians terrorists.
yeah, pretty much.
Like I think the conservatives are more extreme on this than the actual left on this issue.
I don't think there's a genocide going on. I think that's kind of silly. I think that Israel's at war right now with Hamas. I think they have a good reason to want them to be gone. I think the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip is pretty bad, but not as bad as people are saying it is.
I've seen some photos of Gaza Strip, West Bank. It looks apocalyptic. It looks like end of world.
There's a lot of bombing and shit that goes on
Yeah,
there.
I mean, it looks horrible. It's like it looks like something you see in a movie.
It's like that movie I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks horrible.
Yeah, but I mean, like they're like some of the highest recipients of foreign aid in the world. Like, assuming the war ends, you could rebuild that shit pretty fast if you get the people, the companies in there to do it.
That's one of the biggest arguments the Palestinians like. They getting a lot of foreign aid.
Here's some pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole city looks like that. West Bank.
But
Gaza.
that's Hamas's stronghold. You know that?
Yeah.
They're hiding out. They had a big army base.
Yeah.
They figured out it was an army. That's not actually apartments. That's an army base.
Yeah, all this Hamas. Huh?
Yeah, they are a huge army. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I thought they were like. I'm being facetious.
No, don't worry, I know. I get that.
But what I was gonna say was like you speak of the foreign aid. A lot.
The progressives don't like AOC anymore. It's like she sold out. She's a fucking liberal. Fuck her. Like, they don't even like her anymore. And that was their like champion. So I feel like even though these people are really loud online and really big in college campuses, which might be problems down the road, they're not like represented that much in Congress.
It's time to give up our new giveaway. It's a Dodge Ram power truck, and we about to do something we ain't never did before. It's a camper. Not only you get a brand new truck. What I was gonna say was like you speak of the foreign aid. A lot of the Palestinians are claiming that foreign aid is them. Israel is keeping everything, not sending anything.
Giving us
Right.
I think if anybody's stealing, it's probably Hamas. That's where they get the money for all the weapons and the tunnels, and that's why their billionaire leaders and stuff are over utter.
So you think they're taking aid and building tons?
They have tunnels. Yeah, you can see them everywhere. Yeah,
You
of
don't
course.
need aid to build a ton. You just need a shovel.
Hey, you got to have concrete to lay the fucking shit. You got to like do the wires. You got to get it's a lot of fucking work.
I don't believe anything. Like they say they're using kids as human shields. We can't verify it.
I don't know if they're using kids as human shields. They use kids to fight, though. Like, they fight. Yeah. I mean, like, in the West, we have this idea that, like, a 17-year-old is a starry-eyed person. But if you go to, like, super war-torn areas, like, yeah, you give kids AK-47s when they turn 10 years old.
Right. Do you believe in the original that Palestine actually existed?
Not, depends on what you mean by that. What is
Well,
Palestine?
it actually used to be called UK Palestine.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. There was when the Ottoman Empire fell after World War I, all the European countries, because they were kind of moving away from the we're going to make colonies and like take over everybody. They're like, okay, well, after the Ottoman Empire is gone, we're going to kind of like draw out all these areas, call them countries, and we're going to let you people kind of like figure out what you want to do, and then in 20 years we're going to give it to you. It was like the mandate system. And so, yeah, there was a place called Mandatory Palestine that was the Palestinian state, and then the UK had also made promises to Jewish people who were like, we want to have like a place where we can go and like live because we get killed everywhere we go. So they started.
You should laugh when you say that.
Yeah, I mean they started moving down there, and then you know.
Who determined that? The British, right?
The British, yeah, because it was the British mandate for Palestine. And then the thing that I'm referring to, everybody calls the Balfour Declaration.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So this is what I want to say. Shouldn't it be the people that live in Palestine? Shouldn't it be more like a democracy? Should they have a vote in who gets when they bring refugees?
That's the whole map of it.
Well, so this map is not really accurate, but
I mean, my question is
Yeah.
like, Okay, so other countries decided what that area, which was formerly known as Palestine, the people in Palestine.
Well, careful,
had
because
no-
it was never actually, there was no state called Palestine. It was part of the
Well,
Ottoman Empire.
the
yeah.
people that lived there, they had no say-so in what refugees were brought in their country. Other countries did.
Yeah.
The people that actually lived there didn't have no say-so.
Yeah, but there was no government. There were no united people. It's like tribes of people and families that lived scattered across.
So
What was the demographic of people that lived there prior to that?
I think the vast majority were, it would have been Arabs. There were a few Druze, there were a few Christians, and there were a few Jewish people.
Yeah, the majority of it was Muslim.
Yeah,
Arabs.
Arabs, yeah, Muslim
Yeah.
Arabs, yeah.
Yeah, but so because they didn't have a government, you don't think they should have had a say-so?
I mean, like, well, the thing was they lost a war, right?
They lost
Like,
a
they
war.
won that territory by conquest. That's why they were there. It's because it had been conquered by prior caliphates, by the Ottoman Empire. So they won it by conquest, and then the Ottoman Empire collapsed after the war, and then it was basically the Britain and France and the West were deciding, okay, well, what do we do with these territories? And then they drew them up, and yeah. I mean, like,
Yeah,
on the flip side, like, should people have not been allowed to move to Palestine? Like, they didn't even have a government there to represent.
I think they should have put the Jews not around a bunch of people that look like me. They should put them everywhere there's a bunch of white people, like in Sweden.
Yeah, but I think the issue is that, like, keep in mind that you're talking about a time in the 40s where they got killed by a bunch of white people, Germans.
Well,
So,
the
I
Arabs-
mean, didn't seem like that worked too well. Yeah.
Well, the Arabs ain't too far from them neither. I mean, you're gonna put them around a bunch of Arabs.
Yeah.
That's
The thing-
dangerous. It's so dangerous. They got literally a dome over them.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they got a whole ass state there now, right? They got their country. They're pretty solidified.
Yeah, I look at it from this point of view. Like, originally when they were sending a bunch of European Jews there, they were refugees. That's how they were seen, right? Refugees. Now those refugees have totally pushed the original inhabitants of that area out to the West Bank, Gaza, and now we're funding billions of dollars in the country. And now they are pushing and attacking these people. Because I think these people are just retaliating.
I mean, I think that the complicated part, though, is that, like, so the Jewish people that were there, they tried, they would have been